Hello, and welcome to today's program of Conversations with the Chamber. My name is John Smolinsky. I'm the Executive Director of the Wakefield Lynnfield Chamber of Commerce, and I'm your host for today's program. Alongside me today and accompanying me is our co-host, Carly Fortier, who is the Chamber Executive Assistant in the office. And Carly and I today are going to do our very best with our guest in studio, to help provide you with some insightful information about what possibly you might not see in your day-to-day circles about what goes on behind the scenes in some of our local businesses and industries. So the focus of our show, Conversations with the Chamber, is to bring to you, our audience, a variety of timely but diverse topics that we hope you will find interesting and informative. As I said, we hope to provide you a behind-the-scenes look at some of the information that takes place that isn't normally out front when you're participating with these particular industries in your everyday life. This is a new series of programs with the Chamber, and we would look forward to your feedback as far as future content, or even positive or negative comments about how we might make this show more interesting for you, our viewer. So today, we're very happy to move on to another topic, one of great interest to all of us in this current environment. And we're going to talk about health and wellness. We're going to talk about how things have changed, where so many people, so many of us are no longer able to participate in our normal outdoor or indoor activities, and how things have had to migrate to a new way of doing things. And we're very happy to welcome with us this morning Rosanne Russell, who is our guest and has the Move2Joy Yoga Studio on Albion Street here in town, who will talk to us about the industry and the progressions that is made. Rosanne has 20 years of experience in this industry and has been located here in Wakefield on Albion Street for the past 2 years. So we're very fortunate to have someone with her wealth of knowledge and experience to share with us today exactly how things have changed and what is being done to help all of us stay a little healthier with our mind, body, and spirit. And in a very simplistic way, I refer to a lot of this as yoga. And I know that's a very naive, generalized term, and I'm sure Rosanne's about to correct me on that. But without delaying any further, let's move on to Rosanne and welcome her. Rosanne, welcome. We're glad to have you with us today.
Thank you.
And please explain to me why I'm so wrong in just calling it yoga.
Well, you're both not wrong. You're not wrong. So you're
That's a very polite way. Thank you. Never insult the host.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a good way to make the program happen.
Yoga is like probably a familiar term. And when we say yoga, I think your mindset will immediately go to knowing that it's not traditional fitness. It's not, jumping jacks and Jack LaLanne style aerobics or Jane Fonda, but it's more mindfulness based and more connecting with your body and your mind, with the benefit of not just physical but mental benefit, less stress, more space in your thoughts, and also less anxiety and less stress, and hopefully better sleep and better overall functions of your body, and your mind and your spirit, and also how you exist in this world.
Well, let's start with some of the techniques that you are using today for wellness of the mind. I'm not quite sure what goes into that. You put little metal helmets on your head and telepathically do it. So talk about the different varieties, because I know there's different styles as far as you're just not lying on the floor stretching. You're doing much other things. So what do you do for your mind?
So
clear your mind.
The concept is that the body, that we work together with the body and mind, and that if you become mind, chances are you've done something physically to create that calmness in your mind. So movement complements that mindset. And so some people really enjoy fast and strong. Maybe they enjoy speed. They like to run. The same thing happens in yoga. We have some fast styles of yoga, but we also have some slower styles and what we'll call more restorative or more healing techniques, where you really have more time to stretch. And if anybody's at home and they're watching, and you just kind of take your hands, and you can do this with me, you just kind of take your palms and you just kind of push away. kind of feel this like stretch in the back of your body, and already you probably want to do something like this, and you might even start yawning, and you probably already feel a little bit better because we're actually moving the body and we're using more breath, and that's really what the body responds to. And if you think about the organs in your body, your heart and your mind, we're designed to move. We're not designed just to sit still. So it's all encompassing.
What would be an example of a fast versus a slow class?
Yeah, so if you're familiar with like a yoga technique, and we're, usually you're on the mat, and you might be, going from like a plank to a jumping jack. You might be going from like a plank to standing up to going down to the floor. You're really using a bigger range of motion. So if you're sitting at home and you get up from your chair and you go into the kitchen and get a cup of coffee, your range of motion is probably this big. Whereas if you went underneath the sink and you grabbed something under the sink and you went to the top shelf, you increased your range of motion. So in a yoga practice, when we're thinking about using more breath, more body, we're increasing that range of motion. So we have different styles of yoga. One might be more flow style, what we might call vinyasa. Very often you'll hear these terms, flow. Pre-COVID, you might have heard hot yoga a lot more. We don't really have a lot of hot yoga right now because we want to stay safe. But that might be a more energetic form of yoga. Also at the studio, I teach something called the Nia technique, which is a blend of dance and martial arts and healing arts. So that uses a full whole body where we're using punches and kicks and dance moves to really work with the heart, but also to feel calm in your body. And the name of my studio is Move2Joy on purpose because we really want everyone to have fun. Gone are the old days when your gym teacher was really mean to you and started yelling at you. We really want to have a lot of fun in our movement experiences. And that's another way that the mind responds and the emotions. When you're having fun, you feel better. And then a slower technique might be just a nice gentle stretching, really, doing a lot more of this kind of style, taking your time, listening to nice music, having aromatherapy. We have some nice scents in the studio or any of your environments. We also have a practice called restorative yoga where we're really using props. It looks like you're taking naps. And I think, John, you would really like this because basically it's nap yoga.
I'll sign up for that now.
But what's really nice about that is the body feels supported and rested. And when the body feels held, it can release things. So people who've had a lot of injuries, like running injuries or even back injuries, any kind of healing the body, it needs the time. It needs to feel like it's being held. And if you've ever held a child who was upset, you'll know immediately they start to calm down after you hold them for a few minutes. And that's really what this practice is about, giving you support. Yeah.
Is that the nap yoga?
That's the nap yoga, yeah.
Now, do you get to pick your partner who helps hold you in their arms for the nap?
Yeah, definitely. Well, pre-COVID, and there's kind of like the pre and the post. One of the things that is lovely at a yoga studio is that we'd give assist, which is we might help your back, or kind of give like a back, like a massage for the neck, or we do an assist for you. Of course, that's something we're not doing right now, but hopefully in a year or two we can do it again.
Now, when you were talking about the different forms of yoga that involved dance and martial arts, that certainly sounds like something that's going to cause an injury to those that are not as pliable as you might be. Is that a very actively participated in class? So
what's really wonderful about the Nia technique is it's been designed for bare feet. So I'm actually bare feet. Not everybody can be bare feet, even though you were born that way. Throughout your years, some people do need shoes, but it's a form that really invites you to listen to your body and how you're moving. And so you're making choices that feel good. So you wouldn't it's not about looking like me, and this is really important. The same thing with yoga too. It's never about looking a certain way, but it's about how do you feel and moving in a way that's gonna feel good, which means that you're gonna protect yourself. If you think about it, you don't really think about when you walk down the street, you already know how to walk, and you don't think about, I'm going to hurt myself walking. because you're paying attention to your feet on the ground, you're paying attention to how you're feeling in space. So Nia is actually very, very friendly, very user-friendly. You can be at any different levels. We have one Nia class that's called Moving to Heal, and that really is people who don't have a lot of movement experience, and they're able to move in a way that gives them the full body workout that they desire and appropriately for them and their health.
So across the wellness industry, this is pretty much inclusive of all ages, I would think, based upon what you've just shared about the different techniques. So this could be from a young adult right up into a senior, I would guess. Is it gender opportunity for both genders, or as you find it, men versus women? Who uses it most? Who finds it most beneficial?
So my experience in group fitness is that mostly women go to group fitness classes. And I think because they have discovered that it's a very social atmosphere, and it's where they can meet friends, and it's where they can be with friends. But the very clever men out there are the ones who have discovered that too is where they can go and meet people and socialize. And so I always used to, note that, of the men that came to classes, they were probably the smartest men because they realized that they too could socialize and be in community. But we get a lot of husbands and wives, and we also have, a lot of classes that are just, for male. I'm actually trained in a guys-only yoga class. We don't offer it at the studio, but there are classes that are just for men, and that's a really nice program as well. So.
As an industry, do you find more smart men? I noticed you highlighted the word smart when you looked at me, Rosanne. So
I think that John should come to class.
Have you found across the industry, when you talk to other shop owners, that more men are participating in this and finding them therapeutic and helpful?
Yeah, I mean, there's different modalities. So again, there's like we find a lot of partners or a lot of family members that go together, and certainly a lot of younger kids, like a lot of children's classes. We have a lot of boys in the children's classes. Boys love to move and jump and run around. So I would say that there is it's probably it depends. Again, it depends on the modality. If the fitness center is looking at that target audience for more men, that their percentage numbers are probably higher. So maybe more of the personal training and more of the heavier weightlifting, or more of the sports conditioning, like the Weekend Warrior programs. So they probably have higher men versus women. But I would say you're probably going to see like 70-30, depending.
So. Yeah. What you've just explained is it's a social way of making friends. It's a way of meeting and learning new things about people and about yourself, how much you can do and what your stress points are. Where it is such a sociable, intimate a time to meet people, and the way you teach your class in such a friendly fashion, how has COVID set you back? You're taking a setting that you've described very well to be welcoming, amicable, relaxing, enjoyable, social, and now you can't get together. How has the industry adjusted to meet the needs? Because those needs of people for wellness of mind, body, and spirit still exist. So how do you do that vicariously when you can't do it in person? What have you had to do?
Yeah, so the different ways that we have pivoted. The most obvious way was that we took almost everything online so we could be safe. And so you started seeing a lot of studios and a lot of fitness instructors bringing their classes online. And we were fortunate enough to have some platforms that were already readily available. So you might have seen that. It was almost like everybody was coming online, like Facebook Live or Instagram Live or, Zoom. So thank God for Zoom, right? And, what was really interesting about that is that people, especially at the beginning, back in March, which I can't believe was almost a year ago, right? Wow. Were, really in this place of gratitude for being able to still connect with everybody. And even though that we were home, we could still be together. And, this is one of the surprises I feel of this past year was that we could all still be together, still be in community, even though we were at home, and so that connection could still be there. And there certainly are some people who would say, oh, I have to be, in person, and I just not really comfortable practicing at home. They didn't really have quite the setup for themselves. But we saw a lot of people just figuring it out, moving furniture aside and, creating a sacred space for themselves, for their practice, that they could, leave what was ever happening in their life and then going to maybe this corner of the room and having this time for themselves and being with community and just being able to say hi to somebody. I know I didn't feel bored at all, and I think it saved me. I really do. And that I would be able to see everybody every day, and I always felt connected. So that was really important. Yeah.
So despite not having the opportunity to meet in person when this first started, by expanding the offerings of the type of programs you offered, you actually maintained the business or grow it?
Yeah, well, no, we didn't grow. We didn't grow, so come on down. We still need you. What we did was that phrase pivot. I think before COVID, I thought pivoting was what you did on the basketball court. You would pivot with the ball. But now most businesses, we're pivoting, which means we are making it work any way that we have to. So what we did was we actually took my whole schedule and just wiped it clean. And then I had to start looking at really the schedules of people at home. Everybody's working at home now. So times that were more convenient were no longer convenient. So like a working mom or a mom dropping off, there was no more mom drop off in the morning. So moms actually didn't have free time in the morning when they used to. All of a sudden, maybe their free time was, before 7, or maybe their free time now is at 11 or noon. So that's really different. People's schedules were different. So we really wanted to look at that and create offerings for that. And then as the weather got nice, we took a lot of our classes outside, and we started doing classes at Lake Quannapowitt, which was really, really nice. So now we got to see everybody. We got to see familiar faces. We were all social distance. We were wearing masks at first. And then we got to enjoy our natural resources. So you started seeing more classes outside, and that was really nice. And that we did see a lot of families for that too.
Have you found that you have, a different kind of clientele that actually appreciates online rather than, because I do know that there are some people that are so afraid to go into a studio because they think that, people that have been going there for years and there's some camaraderie that they're not a part of. So it's a little frightening for them. So have you found that, the Zoom and the online workouts have been actually more welcoming to people that were a little timid maybe at first?
Yeah, so those are really good points, and that is very true. It was we were discovering less new people were coming in off the street saying, "Oh, I want to try this," or definitely not coming into the studio at first. And even now, we have opened up the studio for very small classes and personal one-on-ones and small groups, and our numbers are still very low. Very, I like to say, your safety is your compass. So, it's never going to keep you safe. That's what you want to listen to, even though we've made every precaution to create a very safe environment. And we were seeing there was a few students that came to us during Zoom. And I have this great story of a woman that came to one of my NIA classes, and I never saw her. It was very rare to have new students suddenly show up, but she'd been wanting to take NIA at the studio or anywhere, and suddenly she could. So she lives, not in Wakefield, but she lives someplace else, and she suddenly was like, wow, I get to take this. But I hadn't actually seen her. She would not show, we wouldn't see, sometimes people show us their faces, sometimes they don't. And then about 8 months into the class, she started turning on her camera and she started saying hi to us. And it was really a great moment. And she's been one of our regulars. So we do have people who definitely like coming on Zoom, and I don't think that this is not going to go away. The online Zoom classes are going to stay, and we're probably going to have these for a couple years, I think, because some people just love it. They love getting up in the morning and being in their pajamas and working out.
It's convenient, yeah.
Going right to bed. But then we also pivoted and we created a library of on-demand classes. So this was another, important. I feel another important move that a lot of local businesses did. So what that means is that we took classes that we were teaching and we put them on a library, just as if you were going to YouTube. Now, the difference is, instead of you going to YouTube where the person's probably amazing, an amazing fitness person, but they don't know you. They don't know you from Adam. And so it's basically like, you're taking classes with Jennifer Aniston. She doesn't know you. But we know you. So when you take a class with your local fitness facility, and if it's an online class or an on-demand, they actually know you and you know them. It's a familiar face in the community and you're supporting that business. And then chances are that business is paying local teachers like I am and other places in Wakefield to teach at that facility. And they're paying their landlords who live in Wakefield, and they're paying their utility bill which is Wakefield. And so you're really supporting the community. So my invitation is to, seek out our local fitness companies. And even if you can't take a class with us at the time that we offer it, see if they have an on-demand library and take classes from us that way and support our businesses, because we would love that. And then because we get to know you and you get to know us, when you do get to come to the facility or the studio, you already know us and we get to meet you in person. So
it's interesting that you still have people coming. So you must have gone through some procedures COVID-wise, for air purification and other procedures so people feel comfortable if they do come inside. And I think you've brought some pictures to highlight your studio that maybe we could take a look at now and you could explain them to us and to our audience.
Yeah.
You want to
definitely
step us through those?
Sure.
Show us a little bit of what you've been talking about.
Okay. So this is one of the things that we needed to do at our studio. And again, I'm mentioning, our studio, but I'm sure all the other businesses are doing this as well. We had to create a big investment. Suddenly we had to invest a lot of money in equipment. And this is a picture of my studio, and the new investments were lights. I had to buy new cameras. I had to invest in software. I bought actually a round mat so that I could teach from different angles. That was really different. And of the air quality, yes, I had to buy air purifiers and air circulation, and we all wear masks when we're in the studio right now. I'm fortunate that our studio, it's on Albion Street, and it's actually a semicircle. It used to be a car showroom, so it's really bright and airy, and I'm really fortunate. So when the weather's really nice, we can open up all the doors and the windows, and it's actually very, very comfortable. So this is a picture of that. Just suddenly, we've become recording studios, and then this is just an example of what I see when I'm teaching. It really is, big, large screen TV and computer, and as I mentioned, cameras. We had to invest in digital converters for our music, different mics. A lot of experimentation, and it wasn't
more than
always
just teaching yoga at the time.
And it suddenly became, we weren't just teaching, we were like trying to figure it out. And I'm my own technical person, so it's like sometimes it's working and sometimes it's not. And I'm sure if you've gone to an online class, you've been there when the teacher's been like, "Oh, I can't hear you." So we're all making it. We're all doing the best we can. So this is just an example of just what I see when I'm teaching. And then this is also what I see, but these are the students, right? So this is what we see. We get to see all the little squares and all the little waves, and we get to see our students through this window. Now, this is an example, as I mentioned, we are having in-person classes, very small, very social distance. We've got the floor actually taped out so that it's the right amount of space, and we do wear masks. And this is just an example of, this is the end of class. This is a little example of what we call shavasana at the end of a yoga class, which is the nap. John, this is when you would really like this part. Yeah. And so, in the in-person classes, people are really, they're so grateful. They're just so grateful to be able to come in and see each other and make eye-to-eye contact. And I'm grateful. I really love teaching outside. I think I taught outside from maybe about April to mid-November. We were just out there. Yeah, we were just out there. And it was amazing to be able to be outside and really enjoy the elements. But I really missed my studio. I missed having people in the studio, in the space. And so it's just been a really nice experience. We monitor when people arrive and when they leave. And like, as I said, we wear masks. So it's very, very safe. Yeah. And I wanted to include this picture. So sometimes, and this actually is an example of what also some people are doing. Some people are teaching at home, but many people are practicing at home. And what we've discovered is that our pets are taking classes with us. So this is an example. This is my house, and this actually is my cat, Joy. And she will come on the mat at the beginning of class, and she will greet everybody. And there are times when she doesn't really quite leave the mat, and I have to actually kind of scoot her aside. But our members are also, reporting that their animals, their dogs are watching everybody really intensely. The cats, and I don't know what other pets people have, but they're all involved. And, it's just, again, another funny little story about COVID and how the animals are just loving this time, right? So if you have a pet at home, I'm sure you're probably nodding along like, yeah, they're watching your Zoom meetings, they're participating. And so I thought this was a fun picture to show that she's ready. She's ready to teach that class.
I know you said you pivoted to be family friendly. I didn't know it included pets. So, do they participate for free, or do you get them to sign up as well and do a little kiddie show in mid-afternoon when everyone else is working?
Yeah, that's been kind of the joke that we have that the animals are having their own class on Zoom. So yeah,
I never would have thought that, but.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that, for sure. Thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
Now, are you looking forward to weather changing, maybe getting back outside, or are you going to try to stay inside?
Oh, no, we'll go back outside. We found, and Carly had asked a really great question, too, that I wanted to get back to, which there are different people who really are enjoying working out or mindfully practicing both either online or in person or outside. So we actually have a whole group of people who really only want to be outside right now. Mm-hmm. So I'm really looking forward to that as well.
What's the normal length of a class? I mean, and how many a day do you usually have?
So our classes will range from 45 minutes to an hour. And right now we have about 3 or 4 classes a day. Yeah.
Are there busier days? Do you have weekends, holidays as well to accommodate those working people?
Yeah, we have weekends too. I mean, again, like back to what happened in COVID was everybody's schedules are just so different now. Mm-hmm. So we're finding that there's less interest in really late classes and more interest in just during the middle of the day classes. So it's really different. And we're just waiting. We're just responding. So what I find is that I don't set my schedule too far in the future. I would never predict what April is going to bring, for example, or the summer. So I'd like to kind of stay open to what possibilities are and what needs are going to be out there. Yeah. I'm hoping that as we're able to, leave our houses more and feel more safe, that will also bring people to the fitness facilities or working with friends or really taking advantage of what our town can offer you.
Well, I guess I was right in the beginning predicting what little I really understood about health and wellness and yoga, and you've certainly provided me a lot to think about. And hopefully being one of those smart people, maybe you'll see me down in your studio sometime in the near future.
Yeah, and I forgot to mention too, we do the mindfulness aspect, like the meditation classes. Again, those are really great offerings and things that everybody can do.
And important now too, with COVID and all the stressors and how the anxiety right now. I think yoga, meditation is super important.
Yeah.
Right now.
Yeah, we actually, we're finding that, and you mentioned about time, I mean, even 10 minutes a day. So we have some offerings that are really short, maybe 20 minutes that anybody can do. And what we're finding is that just just a few minutes a day, and making a point to even take some time to breathe. A lot of people really enjoy walking in Wakefield, which is amazing and wonderful. But, if you start to walk and you start to really pay attention to how you're walking, start to notice your breath, even looking around and seeing things that you find pleasing to you can change your mindset and actually make you feel better. So these are the things that we like to give tips on and help people out with. Yeah.
All right. Well, that kind of wraps up the show for today. Again, we want to thank Rosanne Russell from Move2Joy on Albion Street for being our industry on-site expert today and sharing a lot of tidbits that I think we all can benefit from. So once again, thank you for coming and watching our Conversations with the Chamber. We hope you'll continue to watch our programs as we move forward into the future and develop our content further. And as always, if you have any questions, feel free to contact us at the Chamber office. We're happy to provide you information about any of our members and activities. And if you should need to reach us or Rosanne, feel free. With that said, on behalf of Carly and myself and the Chamber of Commerce, thank you very much and enjoy the rest of your day.